Hello, welcome to MTG Unraveled, where we each choose a magic card and over-explain it to distract you from your current hyperfixation. I'm Rafa.
And I'm Ryan. Thanks for joining us. Each of us has picked a specific card that we think has something interesting that you may or may not know. And so let's start off with Rafa's pick. What do you have?
I'll start describing it, and then we'll see if you can guess it before I reveal what it is.
Okay.
It's a
Guess along with me.
It's 5 mana, 3 generic, a red and a red, and it's a sorcery. It's got flashback for 5 red, and is my favorite card ever.
Oh, it's the Prisoner's Dilemma.
Yes. Yep. What about your card?
My card? All right, so we have a 2 mana value artifact. It's a rare.
Arcane Signet? Is that rare? That's not rare, is it?
That's not a rare. It was first released in alpha. My hint would be I play it in Shieldred.
Is it the Howling Mine?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Wow, I actually got it. Okay, so I'll start with explaining the Prisoner's Dilemma. So it's a sorcery, like I said. It reads, the exact words are, each opponent secretly chooses silence or snitch. Then the choices are revealed. If each opponent chose silence, Prisoner's Dilemma deals 4 damage to each of them. If each opponent chose snitch, Prisoner's Dilemma deals 8 damage to each of them. Otherwise, Prisoner's Dilemma deals 12 damage to each opponent who chose silence. So it's pretty easy to understand, but I'll put it in simple terms. Once you cast a spell and it resolves, so everyone has had a chance to respond to it, then all your opponents vote. It deals 4 damage if all the votes are silence. It deals 8 damage to each opponent if all the votes are snitch, and it deals 12 damage to only the people who voted silent if there's a mix of silent and snitch. Flashback obviously allows you to cast it from your graveyard and then exile it if you pay the flashback cost.
It's a great way to figure out if you trust the people that are sitting at your table or not.
Yeah.
Don't be a snitch. That's the moral of the story. Be a good person.
I'm here to say that's kind of wrong.
No.
No. We'll get into it. So when it's put on the stack, then obviously everyone responds, and then players take a vote, and you can try to convince everyone to make the same vote, or you can announce what you're voting for. So all of that is fair, obviously. Nothing in the game of Magic stops you from being able to say something as a spell is put on the stack. But then once you actually start voting, you're supposed to do that face down or hidden, kind of like if you've ever cast a Wheel of Misfortune, how you're supposed to hide your number that you pick. That's just going to get lost on some people, but that's the closest other card that people would know. And then you all reveal your votes simultaneously. So once the votes are put down and then revealed, you don't have a time to respond before the damage is dealt. It's just dealt at that point.
Which is why no one ever just doesn't say anything. This card and, like you said, Wheel of Misfortune, they're both huge politicking cards. Like the first thing you think of with Wheel is, I'm just going to let you know I'm going to vote 0 if I don't want a wheel. Most of the time somebody at the table will do that. I can tell you every time we have ever put this spell on the stack, I look at everyone and go, silence, be quiet. I will let you know what I'm doing and convince you why.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember the last one out of those two we did was Wheel of Misfortune, and whoever cast it, I don't remember, they didn't know you could pick 0.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's kind of the point. You can pick 0 if you don't want to wheel and don't want damage dealt to you, but if you want to wheel, then you got to pick a number higher than 0 to try and get that wheel.
These are those kind of cards that the first time you ever interact with this kind of spell, it can feel so confusing. Once you've done it a few times, it's pretty simple, but if you have never seen it before, then it can be pretty confusing.
Oh, yeah. So to get further into the card, it was first revealed in Murders at Karlov Manor, including in the Blame Game Precon. It's never been reprinted yet. The art is the only art from Serena MacLeod. I'm going to get that wrong. She's the only artist that's done work for this card. I think the art is great. It encapsulates the dilemma so well because it's got one person with a white flag behind their back and the other person has like a dagger or some kind of weapon, and they're both covering each other's mouths. So they're trying to say, be silent, but one of them is secretly going to snitch on the other one, which is very much the feel of the Prisoner's Dilemma and the card, the Prisoner's Dilemma. You can play this card in a couple formats, Commander, Vintage, and Legacy. They're all legal in, but I really think it's just in Commander. I don't think you're casting this card in Vintage or Legacy, but you can technically. It is in over 32,000 decks on EDHREC, though.
Wow.
Yeah, most of them being the Nelly Borka, the Blame Game Precon.
Yeah, Nelly Borka.
Yeah, that's what it's in mine, too. The price of the card is less than $1 for the standard one, with the full art, or extended art, whatever you want to call it, being maybe slightly over $1, but really it's $1 or less. So the fun fact of the card, I just basically want to explain how this card is perfect for the actual Prisoner's Dilemma thought experiment. So I'm going to kind of nerd out and talk about the actual Prisoner's Dilemma thought experiment for a minute. That's what it's named after. It's the exact same name for the thought experiment. It was developed in the 50s, which there was a lot of thought experiments for gambling, essentially, with Cold War developed at the time, but this is by far my favorite one. Its design on the card itself perfectly fits the real-life thought experiment. In contemporary science, two people are separated and offered a choice for the Prisoner's Dilemma. You can either cooperate with your partner or defect against them. So silence or snitch. If you snitch, you're defecting. If you're silent, you're cooperating. If both players cooperate, then they each serve 1 year of jail time or 4 damage. So if everyone cooperates, you get 4 damage, which is like a minimum sentence for jail. If one player defects, so snitches on the other, and the other cooperates, the defector gets 0 time, so 0 damage done to them. But the person who stayed silent gets 3 years of jail time, which is equivalent to 12 damage on the card. If both players defect, so they both snitch, then they each get 2 years or 8 damage. So it perfectly aligns with the value system that contemporary science uses for this experiment. In a no number of rounds to play, so if you know you're just playing this once off or 2 or 3 times off, the correct answer is always to defect. And that's because your options are defect and get 0 damage because someone cooperated, or defect and get 8 because you all did. But if you chose to cooperate or stay silent, your options are either 4 damage or 12 damage. So technically, on a one-off time, the correct answer is always to defect or to snitch.
That's the selfish answer.
It is the selfish answer, and honestly, if everyone stays silent, you actually all win. You actually all win. But from not knowing exactly what everyone else is going to do, staying silent is a risk, and you should defect.
That's
logically
why I said
speaking.
This is a test of how well do you trust all the other people at the table. And let me tell you, one of the best things that you can get out of this card is the person who puts it on the stack who's so excited to see everybody shaking their boots go, everybody was silent. That's not as much fun.
It's the worst. It's the worst. Yeah, I don't think I've ever been on the other side of this card, actually, now that I think about it. I don't think I've ever had to vote with this card, but I'm the kind of person that you wouldn't want me on that side because you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know what I'm gonna do.
No. Yeah, I don't run this card, and I can't think of any of decks that we play against regularly.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever voted. I just make people vote because that's my favorite.
You love the weirdo cards.
So the biggest, most interesting part, or whatever you want to call it, is when you don't just have 1 or 2 rounds of this card. It's when you have an iterated Prisoner's Dilemma with an unknown amount. So if you're going to cast this card 4 or 5 times in a game, that completely changes it. And if you think, you play commander, you can only cast a spell once. You can copy spells and return them to your hand. You can copy spells from your graveyard. You can shuffle your library back in and draw a whole bunch of cards. Or the dream, you could exile this under a panoptic mirror and have multiple upkeeps. I want to build that deck. But the point being, imagine you can cast this spell 5 times in a game. If everyone snitches every time, that's 8 damage each time the spell is cast, which is literally lethal damage in Commander.
Oh yeah, you're getting the most value by casting this card, no matter what. That's why you, as the other players at the table, need to mitigate that value.
That's the idea, but I wouldn't tell you if I'm going to cast it 5 times when you first start voting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the point is, though, that ideally, if this card comes up in a game, you should probably cooperate because you don't know if it's going to be cast 1 time or 5 times or 10 times in a game. But if you think it's only a one-off time, logically, you probably should snitch. If you're like, this deck isn't going to cast this card more than 1 time, maybe twice, if they're lucky, snitch. That's the actual answer.
But if they're the kind of player who's playing this card, just assume that they're going to cast it at least twice, if not more than that.
Yeah. And just one last time to wrap back to the real-life Prisoner's Dilemma. When doing an iterated experiment, so simulating 2 people in a Prisoner's Dilemma over and over again, the highest score you can get is from going tit for tat or doing exactly what the person did to you the last time. You'll come out with the least amount of service time if you choose that option and you start with cooperating. So it's interesting that in a one-off, the idea is to backstab, but if you're in multiple situations like this throughout the course of your lifetime, is the idea of this, that the actual answer is to cooperate and treat others how you would want to be treated, which is why I love the Prisoner's Dilemma so much. Yeah. So what do you have for your card?
Okay. So my card was Howling Mine. It has been printed 16 different times. There's 4 different arts. The original is the art by Mark Poole, and it's literally like a mine shaft, but it's glowing on the inside and has like teeth. It's my favorite art out of all of them that are offered.
Is that the one that's in your commander deck?
Yeah, I have it in Sheoldred. I think it just really embodies like the idea really well. It's legal in a ton of different formats: modern, legacy, vintage, commander, oathbreaker, historic, brawl, timeless, and penny. I don't know what half of those formats are, so if you have an idea, let me know. I should probably look those up, but I'm not familiar with things like timeless or penny. The price of the cards ranges between $6 to $8. If you're looking at foil or non-foil, there's not a huge difference. Any card that's worth playing from the Alpha, Beta, Unlimited sets can get pretty spendy, though. One that I found for a near mint Alpha copy is sitting at over $1,000.
Holy cow.
Yeah, which just tells you if you're looking for OG Magic cards, it's going to get up there because you go from $6 to over $1,000, which is pretty typical of anything from Alpha or Beta.
Yeah, especially if it's playable at all.
Exactly. Yeah. So what does this card do? At the beginning of each player's draw step, if the artifact is untapped, that player draws an additional card. It has the flavor text of, "The mine's riches never end, nor do the moans of the spirits doomed to haunt them." Love it. It's so spooky, which is why I love it in my like mono black Sheoldred. It just feels perfect. So right. The fact about this card is it is bad in most decks. Giving every other player an extra card is just bad unless you can mitigate the value that you're giving to the other players. So what kind of decks is it good in? It's good in any deck that can break symmetry.
My boy.
Yes.
Good in my boy.
It can be, if it can be tapped on other players' turns, you're getting the extra card draw not the other players. So this would be in something like an Urza Lord High Artificer deck or a Galazeth Prismari deck. Both ones that actively can let you tap and untap a theme that you'll see throughout the deck pretty often. It also can break symmetry if you draw when they draw. So anything that says if a player were to draw an extra card, you also draw a card. This would be something like a Council of Four deck. And the last one is you get some other benefit. We see this deck somewhat often with one of the other players in our playgroup, Xyrus.
Yep.
If someone were to draw an extra card, you make a snack.
Yep, except you'd make 3, right? Is that how
Except
Xyrus
you would
works?
make 3 in a turn cycle.
And the Council of the Four, that's that 2 white, blue, or whatever it is. It's a Azorius commander, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that just says you draw when somebody else draws. It's easiest when you obviously have that in the command zone, but a lot of times those kinds of decks, you'll have other effects in the deck that do the same thing.
Yeah.
Another way that it can be good is if you have a deck that punishes opponents for drawing cards. This is my deck. Damage on draw. So this would be Shieldred, where whenever a player draws a card, you take 2 damage, or something like Nekuzar, which is, I believe, 1 damage.
Yeah, Grixis.
So anything where it says, oh, you get that card, well, it's going to hurt a little bit. Or something that creates a beater. This would be Multani, Maro Sorcerer. So something that says when you draw a card, I'm going to make something that's going to be very difficult for you to block, and I'm going to hit you really hard. So I hope you enjoy those cards. The third type of deck that you would typically see a card like this in, it would be a group hug pillow fort type deck. So like Miss Bumbleflower, Kami of the Crescent Moon, Ian Malcolm, Chaos Tactician.
Yeah.
Anything that's like, yes, have things. I'm going to give you tokens. I'm going to give you extra card draw. Don't touch me. You do what you want with those. I'm just going to sit over here in my little pillow fort and give you gifts.
Everybody's got a group hug deck in their play group.
Yeah. We have the Bumbleflower precon.
And Xyrus is borderline group hug.
Yeah, borderline. It is. Because again, it's a deck where a lot of times in these decks, you want to give out as many cards as you possibly can. Shieldred is full of different ways to give players extra cards, but it also is full of draw an extra card, lose a life, draw an extra card, lose 2 life, just all sorts of those kinds of effects.
Yeah. Or peer into the abyss. Draw half your deck.
Peer into the abyss. That is a single player removal, and I love every time I get to do it.
Yeah.
Decks like that, just as a forewarning, if you have not played against Shieldred or do not have the deck, get really annoying to other players. So even if you're just pinging for like 1 or 2 damage, your game plan isn't online yet, players will look at you and be like, okay, you need to go right now. I don't want to sit here and every time I draw, lose 2 life, because you have to keep reminding them. It's the same thing as like the Rhystic Study Smothering Tithe effect, where you constantly get the reminder of how obnoxious this player is.
The internet's going to think we play the worst decks out there because we're talking about Shieldred and Nelly Borka. Like, we have normal decks.
Atraxa, Praise Voice. That's how normal my decks can be. Okay, so what are the rules for Howling Mine? If Howling Mine leaves the battlefield before it resolves, then the last known tap or untap state on the card is used for the resolution, which I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Because if the trigger goes onto the stack and somebody goes, hold on, wait, I'm really sick of this damn card, then it will still resolve based on whether it was tapped or untapped.
Oh, really? All right. Yeah.
It does not trigger at all if it is tapped at the start of the draw step. It checks this again on resolution. So there is a time in between where you move to your upkeep, where you would tap or untap.
Mm-hmm.
It will check it, and if you can cast a spell that will change whatever the state of the card is, it will then check again before it goes to resolution. But if it's tapped, there's no trigger on the stack. It doesn't resolve.
Oh, okay. So if you have an unwinding clock and it's been tapped and you go to the next person's upkeep, assuming it's not your upkeep, and you untap it.
Then it will check, trigger, and resolve.
Oh, it will? Okay.
If it's untapped.
So even if the unwinding clock at the beginning of the upkeep untapped it, it's still...
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't know
that. The additional draw is separate from any other draw during your draw step. It happens when the triggered ability resolves. So if you have something that says whenever an opponent draws a card, one or more cards, it will happen twice. It's two separate effects put on to the stack for your regular draw and the draw from Howling Mine. So whatever other effects you have will trigger twice. The last rule that was available on EDH Rec was the triggered ability is put onto the stack after you have already drawn your card for the turn, which I didn't actually know, and it does make a difference because say you have your trigger for Howling Mine on the stack to draw a second card and somebody has a Shielded out, you draw your card for the turn and it's removal, you have a chance to respond and remove Shielded or whatever effect is pinging you or hurting you or giving somebody else benefit or whatever it may be before you actually draw that second card. My fun fact is that there's a pretty cool combo. This combo requires Hive Mind, which is a 5 and a blue enchantment. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery, each other player copies that spell and can choose new targets for their copies. Then it has Enter the Infinite, which is 8 blue sorcery. And you draw cards equal to the number of cards in your library, then put a card from your hand onto the top of your library, and you have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. So the prerequisites for getting this combo to go off is you have to have Infinite in your hand, and then Hive Mind and Howling Mine out on the battlefield, untapped, specifically. And then you have to have 8 blue.
Yeah, just a little bit of mana
available. It's not a combo that you wouldn't necessarily see coming, especially if you played the deck multiple times, and it's definitely mana intensive, so it's going to take time. This isn't something that like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to win on turn 2.
Yeah, no.
Unless you did something crazy.
No, if you're
CDH nonsense.
Yeah.
But
if you're spending that much mana, I mean, it should be game ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you do this combo? You'll cast Enter the Infinite. Hive Mind will trigger, causing each opponent to create a copy of the spell. And then you resolve it in turn order. And this, in the end, each player will leave 1 card on top of their library. And then you pass the turn. Because with Howling Mine untapped, at each player's draw step, they will be required to draw 2 cards, and according to game rules, if you were to draw a card when your library is empty, you lose the game. Now, people will have their entire deck in their hands.
Yeah.
So they could have ways to shuffle the graveyard back into their library or
remove Howling
Mine. But you also have your entire deck in your hand. So, I mean, if you're going to do this and you're in blue, you probably have counter magic, interaction of some sort. So the idea is that you will have enough to make it through anybody who does have a response to try and save themselves. Hopefully. If you can't do it with your entire deck, then you built it wrong, in my opinion. And that's it. They will each lose the game in their upkeep. Super fast, back to you. You win.
Even if they do remove it, then you're all sitting there with your entire hand, and you'll still be the last one to draw the last card out of your deck. So, like, even if it has to go 2 times around, that's still... Yeah.
Yeah, you still have a chance to get everyone. It'd probably be kind of nutty if people don't just die on their draw steps, because if you're playing at this level where you're playing these kinds of combos and stuff, then I would expect that the other players at the table to have some pretty decent decks. So then it's going to move into, well, now I'm trying to stop you from winning the game instead of me just winning. So make sure that you have the counter magic and interaction to back up your combo before you do it. It says that you need 8 blue, 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 blue untapped. Have more than that. Be ready. Because otherwise you will probably lose. But hey, at least you tried to go out with a bang.
Yeah.
And then, side note, this was found in 304 decks on EDHREC. So it doesn't seem to be the most popular of combos, probably because it's so mana intensive and can be kind of iffy. Yeah. But it is still played.
Yeah, and doing it would be awesome.
Oh yeah, isn't this what we Commander players live for, is the big splashy play that everybody goes, what was that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's Howling Mine.
Awesome, yeah. Before we say goodbye, is there anything you're hyper fixated on?
Oh boy, is there. So everybody knows about K-pop Demon Hunters and the worldwide viral sensation that it became. Well, I very much enjoyed it, and my TikTok feed became completely drowned in it. And then TikTok went, you like K-pop. Let me start showing you some real world K-pop. And I have fallen down the deep, deep rabbit hole that is K-pop, specifically a band called Stray Kids. I have my stay necklace because I am inundated into the cult of Stray Kids. I think they're absolutely amazing. K-pop is a whole different world than what we experience a lot here in like Western culture when it comes to celebrities. You know, you see celebrities, you go to their concerts, but you don't really dig into like their daily lives and stuff like that as much. They're very much set apart. It's kind of a problem, admittedly. I'm not going to get too much into it, but K-pop idols are encouraged to create what's called a parasocial relationship with their fans. You see so much. I mean, these guys are always on camera, is what it seems. You have 16 different little side projects that you can watch. They go live on a regular basis. There's fan meetings, there's the concerts, there's an app called Bubble where from the fans' perspective, it looks like you're having a one-on-one text conversation with them. From their side, it's like a group chat. They just send a whole bunch of stuff and they see all the responses as they come in. But from your perspective, it looks like you're just texting them. They even have this like secret little button that they can just tap and it'll put whatever your screen name is. So it looks like they're talking specifically to you. And while I like to think that I'm a little less on the Delulu side, there are definitely people out there that don't grasp that concept.
Yeah.
So it is a rabbit hole that, I mean, I've spent ungodly amounts of hours watching their content and absolutely love it. And there's always something happening. I mean, they just came out with a new album. It's called a comeback in the K-pop world. They just came out with a new album in August or September, I think. And they're already previewing their next one. This is after a world tour that they went through over the last year, an encore tour performance that they did in Korea that incorporated their newest album. There's another comeback coming in November. And it's not just like, hey, we're bringing out an album. It's, hey, we're bringing out an album. Here is the most cinematic, beautiful video trailer for it. Here's a whole bunch of spoilers through pictures. Here's more videos that are coming out. There will be something weekly up until this album drops. Not to mention the pre-sales. And oh my gosh, like, I would say that this is comparable to the amount of feeling I'm broke when it comes to Magic. There is so much to buy. Every comeback has like 16 different album versions. However, this is not to steer you all away. Their music is absolutely insane. I mean, there's definitely other K-pop groups that I enjoy some of their stuff, but they have something for almost anyone. If you like metal, if you like rock, if you like hip hop, if you like old school hip hop, if you like pop, if you like, even some of it has a little bit of a country vibe here and there. If you like anything, they've got it. Their music is incredible. Their dancing is incredible. Their music videos are absolutely insane. The amount of like cinematography that goes into them. So I would recommend to anyone, if you're looking for new music, this is my recommendation to you. Be aware there is the Felix effect, and even if you are not of the male attracted inclination, you will go, what am I feeling? What is this? When this boy that just looks so pretty and angelic comes out with the deepest voice you've ever heard in your life.
Yeah, you say boy, but isn't he like in his mid-20s or something?
Yeah, they are. Mid-20s to late 20s. But he looks young, and he definitely does not. You look at him and you don't think that he will have the voice that he has.
Yeah, just go listen to Maniac.
Maniac, God's Menu. If you want to start somewhere, God's Menu is the one that got me hooked. It's all incredible. So definitely go and check them out, and maybe I can have some people to talk to about this.
Just a little hyperfixation.
Just a little. 3 months going.
You didn't even mention who your favorite was.
Oh, we could go down the whole
No, just drop a name. You already spent like...
Bang Chan. And Hyunjin. Bias
really?
Wrecker.
Oh, I only knew of Bang Chan.
Oh, Hyunjin has had my whole attention recently.
But the sweater that you have, isn't that
That's Bang Chan.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the leader?
Yeah. So anyway, where are you on the internet? Where can people find us?
So you can find us on TikTok or Twitch at Dicentric Games. If you want to check out any of our live streaming, Magic content, video game content, all of the nerdy shenanigans, because we definitely are into a lot more than just Magic, D&D, video games, like I said. And you can find all of that content there.
Yeah. If I'm ever doing anything, you'll see me online as Socratic Irony 2.
So we hope you learned something new. Let us know if there's anything else interesting about the cards we chose that we might not have brought up, or what you found interesting from today's episode. We would love to hear from you.
Yep, if you have anything you'd like to share, or any other quirks that Magic has hidden in their cards, join the Discord in the description. If you have a question or suggestion for the show, please leave a comment or send us an email.
We would love to hear from you.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your week.
Click all the buttons.
Do all the things.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.